Hi guys, if you'd like to support the channel, there's a link in the description and a link in the comments. Please consider donating. Any donations are welcome. I appreciate your support as always and enjoy the video. Thank you very much. Hi guys, welcome to the Irish Footy Vlogs Premier Division preview show this weekend. And as you can see, we don't have Cian Menton today. He was busy today, so he had a day off with Philip Warner. So Philip, first of all, thanks very much for coming on. Much appreciated, because it was kind of a last minute job-ish.
Sure, look, not to worry. Viewers might be down this week because Al Keane, everyone values his opinions, but sure, look, we'll see how we get on anyways.
Look, we've had you on before, so you've offered great insight on various things, you know, Shamrock Rovers and Republic of Ireland, things like that. So fair play to you for coming on. We'll start off with Drogheda and Sligo Rovers at United Park, or heading to Game Park. You'd forget that, wouldn't you? It takes a while to get used to it, to be fair. But I'm lucky enough that I'll be at this game at the weekend, so I'm really looking forward to it. Sligo were beaten last time out by Derry, disappointingly, to be honest. Drogheda, you know, they were unlucky really to lose to Rovers and Dundalk in a sense. They put in a great effort in both games. But this is another difficult one for them coming up against a bit of red, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. I have to say, Keith, I think Drogheda will be fine this year, the way they've started. If they can keep that up, they'll be fine. I never thought I'd say it, but your man Deegan in midfield the other night against Rovers was absolutely fantastic. And you could see he was struggling towards the last 10 minutes, but he soldiered on through it.
So he gets a bit of flack, actually, but to be fair to him, I think that was mainly down to a couple of red cards in that late last season that, you know, could be seen to cost Shelbourne. But when his head is really on it, like, he's massive to any team. He really is.
100%. We were lucky to see we were at the Drogheda game last week, as you might have seen on Facebook. But like, even in the warm up, like, we got to watch the Drogheda warm up because they were down where we were watching, and just the professionalism he showed. He demanded such high standards of everyone. So he's definitely been a great addition. In terms of the game itself, Keith, I wouldn't be surprised if Drogheda got something out of it the way they've played at home. You know, because they've obviously started quite well. Sitting pretty in mid-table, look comfortable. Like, I suppose they need to take their chances. I think that's something we've kind of said, that we've chatted about previously. They do need to take their chances when they get them, because as we know, they come few and far between. But like, you need someone clinical up front. Sligo themselves have obviously started pretty well. I said it in the preview to the season that I thought they would do quite well. I think they've kind of surprised me a bit in how well they've done. Obviously last week was a very, very bitter, disappointing result. I think they were fully expecting to get 3 points on the board there with the way Derry have started. But it's actually one of the games of the weekend, in my opinion. I think it'll be a really, really good watch. I won't personally get to watch it, but I will make sure to go back over it. I suppose Sligo probably might just have enough. But again, there's no surprise if Drogheda get something out of the game.
Yeah, Sligo kind of have to bounce back a little bit here to kind of show what they're made of in many ways, because they did get, it was kind of a come back down to earth kind of bump for them last week, to be honest, which are like, I've said it all along that I do think Shamrock Rovers will win the league reasonably comfortably by the end, and that Sligo and Pats, as an example, have had a good start. But I don't know, I just thought they got a bit of a reality check last week as well. I think there was a lot of media hype as well. Usually as soon as media start grasping onto a team like that, it spells trouble in many ways. And I think they fell into that trap a little bit last week, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. See, like, it's a thing now. I think this is, like, I know this sounds really silly, but I think it's a pivotal part of their season, because they've had such a good start and such a good run of form. If they start dropping points now, the people start saying, oh, well, geez, look, they'll finish comfortable mid-table. But, like, at the end of the day, they're going to be wanting to challenge for Europe. And games like this, you can't drop points. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to Drogheda. Drogheda probably wouldn't be as big a club as Sligo at this current time, this current climate with the league. So, like, if you want to be competing in Europe, these are games you have to get points in.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you as well. I think Drogheda will be fine as well. They'll be pleased with the efforts they've put in the game so far and the last two games. You'll always get 100% effort from Tim Clancy's side, to be fair. How are you calling it?
I'm gonna go 2-1 Sligo.
Yeah. I think they have to bounce back. It's a difficult one though. They lose 3 in a row. 1-1. I'm going 1-1 here.
Okay.
I'm going 1-1. So Drogheda will win, obviously, now, because none of us said Drogheda will win. Next up is at the same time as well. I think, 5:45, St. Patrick's Athletic and Longford Town in Inchicore. And as I said, there's matches on Monday. And I know Pats play Sligo on Monday, for example. But I have a feeling Pats might rotate a little bit here, which is dangerous in itself, to be honest with you, Philip, because no team, as you know, as a Rovers fan, from playing Longford, no team can be taken for granted at all in this league. But they're probably in a situation where they probably feel they have to rotate going into this game. They're obviously top of the league with Rovers. Longford, they're doing okay. They're 9th. But the last few weeks, you see a little bit of struggle coming into their play as well, which is fair enough, I guess. Expected.
Yeah, I expected that myself, to be honest with you. But I think, I know it's not a bit optimistic, but I think the position 9th, I think, is a bit unfortunate. I think they've kind of missed out on a couple of points. They could be slightly further up, but I think, I think everyone kind of expected after the couple of weeks that they had at the start of the season that maybe there might be a dip in form. Again, I suppose it's similar to the Longford or the Drogheda situation with Longford. They need to take their chances when they come, because at the end of the day, they know most weeks that they're going to play this season, they're going to be up against it. Don't get me wrong. Now, when they came to Tallaght, they were absolutely brilliant when they did have the ball going forward. But again, it's what you do with that possession when you have it. Again, with what you were chatting about with Pat's rotating, I can see that happening. But I think
it's
now
dangerous as well, isn't it? It is dangerous.
It's the one team I would turn around over the past couple of years where you might see a team at the bottom of the league that other teams might rotate for. Longford are a team that could turn around and could very easily take 3 points if Pats were complacent about it.
Even a point.
Yeah, that would be a good point on the road for them. I personally don't see it happening though. I just think Pats have been brilliant since they've started, and I wouldn't put it past them to go and knock 3 or 4 past Longford, to be honest with you.
That's scary in itself, though. Pats have obviously started well as well, but a little bit like Sligo, I think. They're going to drop points pretty soon in the next couple of weeks as well. Probably one of the games coming up, to be honest with you. But I do think the difference at the moment between Pats and Sligo, for some reason, there's been less media hype about Pats, which is probably a good thing. So the players have kind of kept their feet in the ground. There's been more about Sligo for some reason. I'm not really sure why exactly, because they've both been toe to toe as such. But, I suppose, let's be honest, people are hoping that someone like a Pats or a Sligo, with Bows kind of struggling-ish so far in Dundalk, they're hoping that Sligo or a Pats actually challenge Rovers for the title. That's the main thing, I think, isn't it? Which is fair enough. I understand that.
I think we can be honest, Keith, and say that we've kind of expected this from Pats. It's been coming over the last 12 months that they've kind of improved nearly game on game. I know that sounds a bit silly, but Stephen
O'Donnell seems to improve the attitude in the squad, and any interview you see with Stephen O'Donnell since he came in, work rate, attitude, commitment, work rate, attitude, commitment. He's literally just been banging that into the players' heads, and obviously he's doing that off the field as well, but on about getting the right characters in, and it does appear to have that. Whether they've the quality to get into Europe or not, we'll see later on the season, but that's what, as a fan, that's what you want first and foremost, isn't it? Regardless,
big time. And at the end of the day, as great as Dundalk and Bows have been and Rovers have been over the past 2 or 3 years, it's nice to see something different up there. Do you know what I mean? I know Rovers are still playing there, and look, don't get me wrong, we're only 6 games into the season, do you know what I mean? So it could still end up very well being Dundalk, Bows and Rovers, but by the looks of it now, the way the Pats and Sligo have started, I can't see Bows or Dundalk getting anywhere near the two of them, the way they've been playing. And as you said, Sligo have kind of got a bit more coverage, coverage to it, because they've been doing so well. But look, it's all about the basics, the fundamentals of football, as you said, you know what I mean, attitude and stuff like that. It all, if you can do that, you'll do all right. And I think the likes of Drogheda have done that as well, to a sense, but obviously they just don't have the pull power the likes of Pats and Sligo would, because they obviously are bigger teams, with no due respect. Do you know what I mean?
Time as well,
So it's something that you've seen a lot this year in the league, but again, there's just more teams are getting coverage, and rightly so, because Pats and Sligo have made good starts as of Rovers. And look, for their supporters, long may it continue. And for any neutral that watch the League of Ireland, it's hopefully something that can continue, because it's great to watch,
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of Bohemians, I have to say they've had a funny start. If you look at them, they're 6th in the table, 7 games, 4 defeats, 7 points. Yet the performances in the last 2 games against Shamrock Rovers and even Sligo, I don't know if you've seen the Sligo game, they weren't bad performances. I think their issue at the moment is they seem to be leaky at the back or defensively as a team. I don't know if the midfield structure is fully in tune with the defence yet, that kind of thing. They haven't been that bad as such, but they're there on 7 points. They obviously have Derry City at home in the great win against Sligo the other night, so they might be more difficult to beat. But you feel like Bows, they kind of need to get the 3 points here against Derry, don't they? If they're to kind of keep with the likes of even Pats and Sligo, because they're the teams they should be watching, really.
100%, Keith. And I suppose, like, with Bows being a supposed big club, I wouldn't agree with that myself. I know how good they've been, but like history and all. But sure, look, we like putting them back in their place, and I suppose we did that last week. But look, the way I see it is if you are a top club in the division, you can't drop points to stakes, and Bows have done that far too many times this season already. Yeah. Although they've went and they've put in good performances. Good performances don't win you league titles. Points do, to be honest, though, as you said, they have been decent, and to be honest, I think they might have been a bit unlucky in Tallaght not to get a point, at least a point. I just thought Rovers weren't at it on the night, but that just goes to show if the other team turns up and they're not 100% there and you're still struggling to take points, it's not a good sign, No. Again, it's another situation where you just go back to they need to take their chances. Like Bert missed an absolute sitter. I think both of us would have probably scored against Manister.
You'd be annoyed if you didn't.
Exactly. Yeah. It just goes to show, and if he goes and scores that, and then Bows get the second before half time, I
think the issue with them as well, Philip, at the moment, they just look like a team that needs to score 2 or 3 goals though to actually win a football match. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I was just about to go to that, because defensively they haven't been anywhere near it, and I just, the goalkeeper Talbot, I don't trust him at all. Do you know what I mean? He's came back and he had an okay start in his first year, but since then I think Keith Long hasn't helped when he was chopping and changing a bit there last season. Yeah. It just doesn't give me any confidence looking at Bows to say, oh well, they'll be comfortable and get a clean sheet in any game. Doesn't matter who they're, just because of the back four, like you said, and again with Talbot in goal, I just can't see that happening. Look, obviously a big game coming up, a big couple of games coming up over the next week or so. But I suppose when we look at it in 2 weeks' time, if they haven't moved up the table, you're kind of thinking they'll struggle big time to get into the top 3, because I think we've chatted about it previously. At the moment, they're not really at it, and it's just they need to get going. Do you know what I mean?
How do you see Derry City? Do you think they'll get going now? I mean, I was asked a question there last week before the win against Sligo, and people were saying to me, Derry fans in particular were saying, do you think we have a chance of going down? It's almost like they're looking for some solace or something, But I honestly said not a hope they go down. The win at Sligo as well. They're actually bottom of the league still, aren't they? They are, but it's very tight. It's very tight. I don't see an issue there with Derry in that sense, do you?
Well, look, if they win, if results go their way and they win a game this week, they're mid-table, so it's still very early. Do you know what I mean? They could go above Drogheda if Drogheda don't take any points and Derry go and win. Now, look, that's obviously if I don't think they will win well. I think it'll be a tight game, this one. I think
to see Bows losing 3 in a row as well, isn't it? To be honest. Yeah. Being honest, it would be strange. Yeah. I think they'll be okay, Keith. I wouldn't if they got relegated, it wouldn't be the biggest shock I've seen in football, but it would be a bit of a surprise because they are a big club, Derry, and just suppose they need to kind of get their head down now and kick on from this result. I think personally they might, because I thought they were very good against Sligo. They took their chances when they got them. I know they only won 1-0, but they took the main chances in the game when they got them. I suppose it's that big word, consistency. If they can start being consistent, they'll be comfortable in the division, but you can't expect them to go on and push towards the top half. I think just staying up now at this stage is their main objective this season. But in terms of I think Europe is out of the question for them, to be honest.
Big time, yeah, big time. The game itself, I can see it being a really, really cagey affair, to be honest, because both teams need the result. It wouldn't surprise me if you finished 1-1.
Yeah, I'll go for Bowles to nick it. Did you say Pats to beat Longford? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
I don't think I mentioned it, but I think they'll tip it, to be honest, as well. Pinch it. Finn Harps and Shamrock Rovers and Ballybuffet, and Finn Harps obviously had a great start to the season, but the last couple of games, they drew with Longford, which they'll be disappointed with that, and they lost to Pats. From Finn Harps' point of view, it's another difficult game for them. Like, they've a difficult set of fixtures. I think they've Derry on Monday in the Derby, which is going to be extra interesting now as well. But great start of the season for them. But they could easily go a few games without winning as well, couldn't they now?
Oh yeah, 100%. But look, I suppose if you'd have gave Ollie Horgan 11 points after 7 games, they bit your hand off. You know what I mean? So again,
knowing him, Philip, he would have taken 1 point after 7 games. You know what he's like?
Yeah. Especially with who they had like at the start, because they were fantastic, and like the wheels are slowly starting not to fall off, but like I think they're losing a bit of air, and they're not going as far. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've halted. They haven't been as good in the past couple of games. But look, when you look around, teams beneath them, like I think Finn Harps at the moment will be okay. I can't see them doing remarkably well, but I would say that the way they've started, if they can keep some sort of consistency going like that, they'll be okay. Wouldn't be expecting them to go down. The playoff, I just don't see them being in that either. I just think they've done well with the recruitment, and again, going back to the fundamentals, they're consistent, they're hard to beat, they're tough to break down. So yeah, look, saying that, Shamrock Rovers, they're playing the best team over the past couple of years. Again, I still don't think Rovers have got going yet, even though they are sitting joint top of the table. I just, from watching every game, the performances haven't been there, but they've still got results. I still think there's more of an expansive style of football that we've yet to see. So I could see them easily being beat here, but like I think overall they'll do okay. Maybe Rovers will go and win 1 or 2-0 probably, but saying that, you wouldn't be surprised if they took a point.
I'm waiting for Rovers one of these weeks to actually come out and spank somebody, to be honest with you, because I've seen it before with champions, Philip, especially new champions. The following season, for some reason, in a lot of leagues, they get results and they're just like they're 1-0s or 2-1s and last minutes and last gasps and all that. And people say, "Oh, it's boring football." I've seen it with loads of teams. Have done it before. Even Dundalk have done that actually in the past. But like it really is like the way they're playing some market champions, because they're probably not playing as good as Sligo at the moment overall, but they're 3 points ahead of Sligo. Do you get me? The thing is, if Rovers get going 5 or 6 games where they really play as well as they can play, you know what I mean? They're getting points after points, and they're probably racking up the goals as well. The squad is a big thing as well, because as I said, Friday, Monday, and then with another game at the weekend, and they can deal with that. They left out Mandrew against Drogheda, McCann and Burke, and then brought them on with about 20 minutes to go to essentially win the game. And that's what they can do what other sides, apart from Dundalk, I would say, can do, but we'll get on to them in a minute. It's just difficult to see past Rovers at the moment. Can they go the season unbeaten? I would say probably not, to be honest. 36 games, but they're not too far away from actually being 36 games unbeaten, though, are they as such? Are they on?
Yeah, too far now at this stage. No, Keith. Look, I suppose
it must be on 26 or something. Yeah.
Anyway, they coming close towards the 30 mark now, but like, that's something they're kind of looking at. But at the same time,
you wouldn't be.
Club records are nice to set, do you know what I mean? And there's still a few games to go before they get near the current record. But it's an interesting point, because as a supporter of Shamrock Rovers, you're kind of looking and saying, well, how can you be displeased with where you are in the division, or how you're playing when you're sitting joint top of the table? But I think we've been very privileged over the last 2 or 3 seasons to get the football that we've got from Stephen Bradley and the current players. And obviously people have moved on, like Jack and McAneff. But I suppose it's just going back to the squad that we have, you're able to do that. You can go to Ballybuffet this weekend and you can rest a couple of players and get away with it if you need to, like, do you know what I mean? And that's something that not a lot of teams in this league have got, you know. So I think you're right in that sense that we haven't got going yet. If we do start getting up and running properly and getting more results on the board and points, who says they can't go unbeaten? But personally, I don't think they will. I just think that would be a bit disrespectful to how strong teams are. Although
I do think they're slightly weaker than they were last year. Like, you lose Jack Byrne and McInniff. I mean, you have to be, you know, that kind of way.
Your top players, Keith, you know, and like it would be disrespectful to turn around now and say that Rovers will go unbeaten. I just don't see that, because I still think, although Dundalk and Bows, those teams that aren't up there at the moment, I still think they're quite strong, and
they could beat Rovers on the day easily, couldn't they, as well?
Like anyone in the division, do you know what I mean? Like we seen at bottom of the league, Derry go and beat Sligo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Flying high. Like, and Derry looked in turmoil last week, 2 weeks ago. They still doesn't like the result that they got. So yeah, no, look, again, I'd say probably 2-0 Rovers, but it wouldn't surprise me again with Harps.
Yeah, I think I'll go Rovers as well. I have a feeling, though, they have this mindset as well that we want to start games well. They don't mean to start slow, but this is what happens. 2-1 Rovers for me, I think. Waterford and Dundalk at the RSC, interesting game. 7 games gone. Waterford are actually level with Dundalk in the league. It's hard to believe. Dundalk got that win last week, the monkey off their back. I'm not sure how well they're being coached at the moment, but looking at them again against Drogheda, they still have some cracking individual players. This is the funny thing. I still think they're capable of making a run for Europe, because I think the Waterford, Longford and Finn Harps is the next 3 games. If they can get 3 wins on the bounce there, suddenly, you know, Pats and Sligo probably won't get 3 wins in the bounce. You know what I mean? And suddenly they're kind of back in it. So you can't rule them out here. Waterford obviously got a win last week against Longford. It wasn't an easy watch, to be honest with you, but they'd be delighted to dig it out. How do you see this one going?
You know something, Keith? It's like deja vu. Now, in a sense, it's a bit worse than it was last season for Dundalk, because they did start slow last year, but when they got up running, they did go and they went on a good run. Obviously, this season, you said they got the monkey off the back in the derby there last week, but like you need to look at it and say Dundalk mid-table now, like not many people would have predicted that, like, you know. So obviously, pointing from their sense, like I did think they wouldn't be. I didn't think they'd be top of the league now at this stage. I thought we would be top like we are, but I thought Dundalk would be a bit closer. But as you said, there's only a couple of games in it. It's early days.
I still think personally they are out of the title race, because when they came back a little bit on Shamrock Rovers are a little bit more inexperienced and hadn't actually won the league. But now they have the experience a bit, and they look more settled. I would rule them out winning the title. I still wouldn't rule them out of Europe personally, though.
Europe, yeah. Well, look, I think it's 11 points now. That's Rovers ahead of them, boy. Look, I suppose this game against Waterford, because obviously Waterford they're not doing great. They're not doing terrible either. But like, I suppose they're one of the teams in the division at the moment that look very beatable, just because of how they've started and the fact that they've went and got the monkey off the back, as you said, with that 1-0 win. I suppose there's no reason why they can't go and win again. You know, because again, you have to be going to look to win this game big time, because you know, if they do want to start catching, they can't beat Drogheda last week first win and say they lost to Waterford. You'd have serious question marks over them then, I think, wouldn't you? Yeah, 100%. And as you said, they've got fantastic individuals. There's no reason why they can't go and put 2 or 3 past them now. I think that was such a big burden over them to get that first win. And I think now that they've got it, they will kick on. I think they'll go on a run, personally, myself. As you said, they're more than likely out of the race now at this stage for the league. But there's no reason why they can't get into Europe. Do you know what I mean? With the likes of Harps and all above them, like you'd imagine they're going to start dropping points sooner rather than later again. Although they have over the past couple of weeks, you wouldn't imagine with the fixtures coming up that they could pick up plenty of points, like, you know. So there's no reason why they can't get back into that top 3.
Yeah, I just watched them as well the other day, and the junior coming off the bench. Who else? Sloggett coming off the bench. I can't even remember. You know, these kind of players. Missing Hooban, Macmillan comes in. Not too many teams can do that. Like,
no, there you go. It's Rovers do it. Dundalk are well capable of doing it as well. Like, do you know what I mean? when you look past that, then there's not many other teams in the league that bring that sort of firepower off the bench. Again, it's the perfect time for this game. I think they will start going on a run. It wouldn't surprise me now if they go and beat Waterford 3-1, 4-1 maybe.
Yeah, Waterford in their part, they're very inexperienced side, like a lot of young players. There's still rows going on with Brian Murphy and Mike Newell, and Murphy seems to be dropped. And the management team walked off the pitch during a training session. Reports said they were gone, then reports said they weren't gone, then vice versa. Just seems to be a constant mess at Waterford, and with a bunch of inexperienced players, all this kind of stuff in the background, it can't help, can it, to be fair?
No,
it's an extra difficult for them.
Yeah, I just want to throw you back 2 or 3 years now when they finished third, I think it was, and they qualified essentially for Europe, didn't actually get to play. I think it was Pats got in ahead of them. Was it your beloved Pats got in? Yeah, look, I think since then they've kind of they've kind of been a bit all over the shop, and I think it's getting, as time progresses, it's getting more and more of a mess, like with how the club is. I think last season, towards the end of the year, when Sam Bowen and all came out about how the club was run behind the scenes and contracts with players and stuff, with the way they let so many go and all, that's it. They
could have kept on to some of them only for that messing, because you don't blame players for going. Like the quality, they actually had quality last year. Tyreek Wilson, Sam Bones, you say. Who else? The names are gone. Ali Cooch. Matty Smith, for example. So the quality last year, and not only did they losing them, but they're all gone to your Bowes and your Pats, etc. And now they're improving, and they've helped them improve. So that's a real kick in the gut, let's say.
And it's unfortunate because I can't think of your man's name off the top of my head that went in and took over and put a bit of money into the club, because
Lee Power.
Was it him? Yeah. He kind of got the kickstart going for them into the top flight, and they've done very well in the first year. As we said, they finished in the top 3, which was kind of a surprise. But you wonder there, if they get into Europe and they get that prize money, would be looking at, I think personally, we're looking at a completely different club, because I think they would have been able to invest more and brought in more quality, and I personally I nearly feel for them a bit, because at the time when they came up, it was an exciting time to be a Waterford fan.
I feel for the fans, to be honest with you, more so than the owners, honest, because
you kind of, if you're coming up and you start so well, you finish in the top 3, and you're like, geez, this is going to be brilliant next season. European nights. Now, whether they would have got through many rounds, that's a completely different story. But the fact you would have got that European night, you would have got that revenue, it would have just been brilliant for the whole county, do you know what I mean? Because there's not much else going on down there, let's be honest, other than football and maybe a day down to the whole. But so it's a bit of a mess, but look, they could easily go and turn it around, because watching them, as much as you can see the inexperience, there's a bit of talent there. Now,
and they do work their socks off, I have to say. There's no issue there.
They're a hard working team. I personally hope that they do get it sorted out, and the whole management, it's not a crisis, but the situation with the current management team gets sorted as well, because I think all fans admit Waterford are a good addition to the league, and hopefully I can't see them getting a result here, but hopefully now in the next couple of weeks they can pick up a couple of points as those young players start to get a bit more experience in the division.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dundalk will get back-to-back results here, so I'll go for 2-1 maybe for Dundalk. Look, Philip, thanks as ever for coming on. Fair play to you.
No problem, Keith. Thanks.
Brilliant stuff. Like the video, guys. Subscribe if you're new, and hit your bell notification button so you don't miss a video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. Appreciate it. Thanks, Philip.